Kashin Koji just unlocked one of Shibai Otsutsuki's divine techniques called 10 Directions. It allows the user to see all possible futures through visions. My boy Kashin Koji stocks then went up tenfold, and now you see why he's one of my favorite characters. So today I'm going to be explaining the 10 Directions Shinjutsu. So first, let's talk about the origin of 10 Directions. So the divine technique 10 Directions originally was an ability of Shibai Otsutsuki, who is an ancient Otsutsuki who devoured countless planets and gained all forms of divine techniques and eventually became called a god. Also, here's some new information that makes this all make sense. All inner Kara members were actually implanted with Shibai cells by Amado Sanzu to basically evoke the possibility of bringing forth the Shinjutsu abilities that Shibai possessed. Also, before we kick off the video, I need everybody to hit that subscribe button now. I'm on the road to 50K. I need everybody to hit that subscribe button and become a real ninja today. Appreciate you. Alright, let's get it. So we've seen this in characters like Code with the claw marks, Damon with reflection, and Ida with omnipotence. So Koji originally didn't really awaken, any Shinjutsu abilities, even though he had Shibai cells, but Kashin Koji was able to unlock the ability 10 Directions when he was on the biting against Ishiki Otsutsuki. He awakened the 10 Directions ability, and this allowed him to see the visions of all possible futures. When we saw my boy Kashin Koji get the hell up out of that damn fight, it was because my boy knew he had a greater purpose. My boy had to use this jutsu and save the future, save the world per se. Next, let's talk about the mechanics and how 10 Directions works in detail. So imagine our future. It's not just a straight line. Instead, it's like a web with many paths that branch off in different directions. So at every decision point, different outcomes are possible. So when you look at what future becomes a reality, it's like a battle between fates where only one future wins out against the others, and all the other ones, they cease to exist. So the 10 Directions divine technique, divine jutsu, it lets the user look at all these possible paths all at once. It's very much like the Doctor Strange Time Stone ability, where he looked through all the possible futures with the Avengers and told them like how many they actually come out winning it. So that's kind of how it works if you want to compare it to something that you might be familiar with. So users of 10 Directions, they can watch multiple versions of the future playing out and see which one might actually happen. But here's the twist: depending on what choices are made in real time, a new future is created right on the spot. So the future that actually ends up being canon and actually ends up happening, it can change basically in real time based upon major key events that happen that shift what actually ends up becoming reality, like I said. So this Shinjutsu, it gives the user the ability to understand and potentially influence which future will come to pass, which we see how Kashin Koji tries to do when he gives Boruto information that he has seen in possible timelines that could help him in the current state he's in now, and help him avoid disasters and help him level up per se with information that he wouldn't have unless you could see into the future. So Kashin Koji also can see how small changes could lead to entirely different outcomes. So this is why every decision is really incredibly important within the timeline. So I also want to discuss this. This technique introduces the concept of alternate timelines. This is not a multiverse. So just to give you a synopsis of what an alternate timeline is. So again, the 10 Directions Shinjutsu reveals different possible futures that branch off from our current reality. So think of reality as a trunk of a tree. So from this trunk, multiple branches grow in different directions. These are the possible futures. So each branch, like I said, it represents a different future / timeline that could have happened depending on the choices made and the events that occurred. However, all these branches are still connected to the same tree trunk, meaning that they all stem from the same underlying reality, which is like the main timeline per se. So here's the key point: once one of these possible futures actually happens, it's it's like that branch continues to grow stronger and becomes part of the main, tree trunk as a branch, while the other potential branches, they break off and cease to exist. So only one outcome can really happen, and even then it's just a strong possibility that it'll happen exactly like how it happened in the vision, just because it always is changing. So only the branch that comes reality, that's the branch that matters, while all the others disappear. So you could have saw 1,000 different outcomes, but only that one is gonna matter, and the 999 other ones, they just cease to exist. But you can still use the information from all those different possibilities to give people the heads up and level up just based upon a theory of something. So this is not a multiverse, which in contrast, a multiverse would be like having entirely separate trees and not just branches. It's like the multiverse would be like if all these universes and timelines existed simultaneously on top of each other, and they are not connected by a single timeline. So I think a lot of people were misinterpreting that there was multiple Borutos existing at the same time. No, that's not the case. Kashin Koji was just able to see a whole bunch of different outcomes that could have happened, but they are not, they don't exist until whatever events go down to shape the current timeline that they're in. So the 10 direction Shinjutsu, you can influence the alternate timelines. It doesn't create or interact with entirely different universes. It doesn't, all those possibilities he saw, those aren't different universes. Instead, it shows how our future can grow in various directions based upon the choices we make. And once a path is chosen, the other potential paths, they disappear. So all the shits that Koji saw, they're not all gonna come to reality. There's only one, and it's not necessarily gonna happen exactly like that, but there are some constants within each of the different possibilities. That's the thing. So now let's talk about every Boruto alternate timeline that Kashin Koji mentioned. I guess that was deemed pretty important to him. So the scenarios that they basically avoided in the current timeline. So first, you have the Hokage's death and Ishiki's rebirth. So in one possible future, Naruto, the 7th Hokage, he's killed in his death match with Ishiki, and Ishiki is reborn in Kawaki's body. So this leads to a planting of a divine tree that eventually destroys the entire planet. So this didn't happen because Naruto actually survived, but the threat of that happening was, very hot. So next, you got the timeline where Kawaki kills Boruto and Sarada. So when the Hokage vanished, due to Kawaki sending him to another dimension, Boruto and Kawaki, they ended up fighting. So in this timeline, Boruto was killed by Kawaki, and Sarada Uchiha, who tried to help out Boruto, she also was killed. So after that, Kawaki was then defeated by Code, like the scrub he is, and then consumed by the Ten Tails. Once again, divine tree is planted and destroyed the whole planet. So this outcome was avoided by key little events that made things pivot in a different direction. Now we got the worst possible future timeline that Kashin Koji spoke about. That is kind of where we're at right now in a way. This is the closest to the future that we're seeing right now unfold. So there was a timeline that Koji saw where he said things have gone horribly wrong. The Ten Tails breaks free from Code's control and evolves into multiple humanoid Shinju. So we're seeing that right now, each with their own independent will. So Kashin Koji says their leader, Judah, kills Boruto. And in the end, Kawaki is consumed after that, leading to the planet's obliteration. So this is considered the worst possible future, and this is avoided, as we saw, even though the Ten Tails did evolve into these humanoid divine trees. Boruto was not killed by Judah. So this is a main event, key moment that changes the whole timeline to where the world doesn't end so quickly. So they're technically in the worst possible future timeline right now, but Koji's just saying that this is proof that the future remains on a delicate, ever-changing path, because little different events can really change everything. Like Himawari becoming the actual Nine Tails incarnate, that was not something that they even saw within 10 directions. So it's like different stuff can really change up how everything really unfolds per se. Like I said before, this future was avoided when Judah failed to kill Boruto, so taking the current timeline, on a different path, which is what we're seeing unfold right now. So this is new territory now that Boruto didn't die against Judah. So because he literally was about to die for real. So those are the three alternate timelines that Kashin Koji talked about. Now, like I said, we're getting into a whole new timeline where we're gonna see a whole bunch of different stuff unfolding, just because all the visions we saw is basically you kind of avoided all those situations for the main part. So overall, I really rock with the 10 direction Shinjutsu concept because it adds another layer to how these dudes are gonna save the future, and they gave it to one of my favorite Boruto characters, Kashin Koji. I even named my dog Koji, and everybody was like, damn, Koji done been out the mix for this and the third long, but now my boy coming back and my boy got the power up. We didn't know he had this jutsu until Boruto had that flashback, but this helps us make sense of all the different stuff that Boruto was saying in the beginning of Boruto 2 Blue Vortex. He had Kashin Koji who saw the future, and my boy trained him up and got him right to make sure that he was just out here mollywopping all these scrubs. So I can't wait to see where this story goes. It's only up from here. Like Boruto 2 Blue Vortex, it doesn't miss. With that being said, it's your boy Anime Analyst, aka the Young Jiggy Ninja. Appreciate y'all watching. Make sure y'all subscribe, like, comment, all that good shit. I'm out of here. Peace.